Welcome to the AS test for NSMPD 2019. I invite the PM from side opposition to please come up on stage. Could you please repeat the motion for the benefit of the House?
The motion of the debate is this House supports unregulated trade of human organs between consenting adults. And we will be having this debate on two different paradigms. The first paradigm being the principal debate and the second paradigm being the need and outcome basis debate. Coming to the need and outcome basis, we ask you the very basic question, does this exist in the status quo? Does what the problem we are talking about exist in the status quo? And the answer is yes. Why does this exist? Because the system that is in place, the legal system that is in place, is inherently biased and flawed, right? Because it is discriminatory in nature. Now I will be giving you two examples to conclusively characterize and prove to you that this is flawed. The first example being the European system of free healthcare, which prioritizes people on the organ donors list based on their health, based on their conscious choices they make. What they essentially do is that they deprioritize obese people and smokers with them usually not getting organs that they need in order to live, right? So what happens? And this is something that they assume is their fault. Being fat is your fault, but in the modern European world, it is not, right? Because essentially what happens is that there are these capitalistic markets there which make being healthy and healthy conscious choices something that is out of reach for a middle class person who does a 9-to-5 job and he goes to sleep at night, wakes up in the morning, does a 9-to-5 job and enters this vicious cycle. And the modern life, capitalistic, so you're trying to be healthy in the modern capitalistic lifestyle that is inherently healthy. So what you're doing is that making the victim enter a vicious cycle where they're making these choices to be unhealthy and you're basically punishing them for these choices, right? So this system that prioritizes people for organ donors list is biased and it's discriminatory. The second argument being this survey that was done in Canada, where 26 fake profiles, these fictitious profiles, were given to a bunch of people, and they were asked if these people were victims of some sort of car crash, and the participants in the study were asked if they are an organ donor and if they would give the organs to these people. What the participants did is that they unconsciously made the choice of choosing white and male people over people of color, over women. So these social indicators of race, gender, color, all these social indicators creeped into the way or in the system that was inherently biased. Basically putting people who are already at a disadvantage at a further disadvantage, right? But if you are someone who is close to this debate, if you are a person who is close to, if somebody who is close to you has undergone an accident or something, you would not be thinking about the system, you would not be thinking about the car crash, you would not be thinking about the race, you would want them to live. And this is what we are prioritizing on our side of the house. This is what we are prioritizing. We are not making biased lived experiences creep their way into a biased system, right? And this is where we come and tell you about a second argument, which is the principle-based debate, where we will go ahead and invite you to have agency over your body, which is increasingly important in the modern world that is trying to dictate every choice to you, that is trying to dictate everything to you as to what should happen to your body, as just trying to dictate over your very routine, right? We ask you to have agency over your body. Now I will tell you what the side opposition would come ahead and tell you. They'll tell you that this is illegal, to which we would preemptively argue that what is legal is what is moral. Legalities are based on moralities, and moralities evolve in nature. Moralities have an evolving nature. Had that not been the case, I would not have been standing here in front of you telling you what you should do, right? So we understand that legalities have to evolve, and we understand this issue as something that should evolve with time, right? So drawing a direct parallel between organ trading and prostitution, we understand that the organ trading market is something in which the poor person, of which the poor person is right now a victim, right? It is a victim that cannot even go ahead to the system and complain because it is an illegal victim, and this person should not have been the victim in the very first place, right? Right? So we which is why we're drawing this parallel here. When prostitutions are made legal in European countries such as Amsterdam, what happens is that these sex workers are empowered. They're empowered to say no. They're empowered to make choices. They're empowered to go ahead to the system, to go ahead to the legal system and complain. They're empowered to fight for their rights, which is what would happen now if this market is somewhat normalized, and if the people who are a victim in the system are made to listen. If these people who are a victim in the system are made to understand what their rights are, because awareness comes with normalization, and we understand that we need agency over our bodies, we understand that body autonomy is important, and we understand that people who are a victim of this system need to be empowered in order to seek for any sort of change, right? So we are basically closing barriers for the victims and giving them avenues for legal choices, for legal empowerment, right? This is essentially what is happening here. Now, drawing direct links between up two arguments of the principle-based debate and the need and outcome-based debate, we have established to you that the system is biased and that there is a need of reform within this system, and that reform can only be brought about when the legal proponent of this, that is enabling discrimination, is directly challenged by supporting what we are supporting on the side of house government, right? And we have to understand that these people who are engaging in the trade or donation of body organs are essentially consenting adults who have agency over their body, and who are we to deny them the right to do so if there is no harm to do that, right? We further characterize to you that the system is inherently capitalistic, that is trying to tell you over and over again what your routine should be, what your choices should be, and we are trying to basically counter that with what we're proposing on the side of house government, where we're encouraging you to have agency over your body. Proud to propose.
I now invite the leader of opposition to come on stage and give his speech.
Adjudicators have to try to understand about this particular, then when they come up here and give you some sort of analysis, the characterization of this particular debate, they're going out of the ambit of the debate. You have to understand that they did not characterize some major points of this particular debate, such as this trade being an unregulated trade. You have to understand that when this trade is an unregulated, we go ahead and give you a particular definition of what these unregulated trades are. These unregulated trades are whether they come up here and these unregulated trades are that they don't have any sort of government documentation and health documentation in the first place, that it is leading to some sort of informal deal between two people, and they will be with their consent, right? They're fighting on the basis of their consent, that okay, there will be some sort of consent between two people, they can sell their organs off in the first place, right? Which is problematic, which is very problematic in the first place. You have to understand that why this unregulated trade will be problematic in their paradigm in the first place. Okay, first major point being the health is being violated in the first. The health is being violated. You have to understand that when they go through this particular unregulated trade, they won't be going through some sort of medical assurance and medical documentation, so they won't be knowing whether these organs are functional in the first place or not, which has been the major point, that this dysfunctional organs will cause a lot of problems and will go ahead and violate the health issues in the first place, right? You have to understand that they come up here and talked about that it is the need of the hour. It is the need of the hour when people are facing a lot of problems, that people need these organs in the first place. But when they won't be having any sort of assurance whether these organs will be functional in the first place, they will be facing a lot of problems, and they will be problematic in the first place. You have to understand how the manifestation of this process will take place, and they did not give us any sort of how they did not tell us, and they did not go ahead and tell us that how this process will take place in the first place, which is a big burden on their side to how to explain how this process will take place in the first place. Okay, another point which comes into place, like these unregulated trades, if there would be any there will be no sort of health assurance, and there will be no sort of health assurance, then what is the guarantee that these organs will be functional, right? You have to understand that they talk about the poor people, that poor people need sort of these poor people, this will benefit the poor people, but you have to understand that how these poor people will lead to a lot of problematic situations, how they will go ahead and invest a lot of money in the black markets in the first place, right? You have to understand that how it is giving rise to the black markets in the first place, right? Okay, another how this process takes place of black markets, and how it is like how it is on rise, how it will be on rise, how it will be on rise. Okay, these black markets are there. They will incentivize these poor people who are having some sort of health problems, and incentivize these poor people with a lot of money, so that they can just go ahead and sell their organs in order to have a great living. But they don't understand that if there won't be any sort of medical documentation when they go ahead and hire some sort of uneducated doctors, so that they can do any sort of operations of these poor people, and they can sell so that these poor people can sell these organs to the black market in the first place, it will lead to a lot of problems. But because they're not respecting they're violating in their paradigm, the health is being violated to a level that you can never understand. Okay, you have to understand that why when this unregulated trade happens, there is some sort of monetary benefit behind it, right? You have to understand that if there will be some sort of monetary benefit behind this trade, it will lead to a lot. The situation will get exacerbated, and they won't be caring about the functionality of the organs in the first place, right? They're ignoring this particular point, that they're just like giving the only point in their particular debate was a fact. They just give us some sort of facts about like Canada and Europe, and they did not tell us about why they just like playing this particular debate on the basis of consent, right? Okay, we get it. Consent is important, but you have to understand that if there won't be any sort of medical documentation whether these organs are working or not, if there won't be any sort of legality, in the first place. Like they come here and talk about that there will be some sort of legality, and there will be some sort of legality if there is consent, but there won't be any sort of legality when there is consent, because you have to understand that there won't be any sort of medical documentation and government documentation in the first place. How it will be legal in the first place, right? That is the definition of the unregulated trade in the first place, which they ignored in the first speech, right? You have to understand that these black markets, being a major point, are on a rise, and if they invest a lot of if they're investing a lot of money, if they'll incentivize these poor people in the first place, because these poor people being the major people who go through a lot of health problems in the first place, because we have a lot of smokers in this particular in the rural areas in the first place. You have to understand that these poor people are facing a lot of problems, because they go through a lot of health issues, because the condition they live in, it is very bad. Okay, so that is how it makes the situation very problematic in their paradigm, if they won't be having any sort of documentation, medical documentation, and government legality in the first place. How they go ahead and tell us that this process will be beneficial for the status quo in the status quo. You have to understand that we are telling you that we should not support the unregulated trade of organs in the first place, because it won't violate the health. It won't violate it. The violation of human health won't happen in the first place when you go ahead and have a proper documentation, documentation, and government documentation and medical documentation in the first place, so that the procedure will get legal, and all the organs will go to the bank, and they will go through a legal procedure in the first place. Because if they're just like agreeing on the basis of consent. You cannot call it as a legal procedure of whatever the process is happening in their paradigm. You have to understand, in our paradigm we are providing you with a proper documentation so that there won't be any sort of health violation and people will be getting genuine organs in the first place. That is the major point of this particular debate.
I now invite the Deputy Prime Minister to come on the podium.
I'd like to start my debate by talking about the premise from which their whole debate is stemming, right? The only premise being that, these people, these poor people or whatever, there are no checks and balances in the system because black market works in a certain way. Black markets are always bad and this and that. Let us now analyze what a black market is, why there are black markets in the first place, and why are there markets which are attacked by the police and which black markets are curbed, right? Let us talk about black markets only. Why do these black markets exist in the first place? Black markets exist in the first place because there is a need. There is a need and this need cannot be fulfilled by the government through legal measures. That's why black markets exist. Let us talk about one of these black markets, right? The racket of prostitution in India. Of course, there are various flaws in the racket of prostitution in India. But how do these women who want to necessarily earn money and who are poor as stated by the LO and who are so subdued by the economy in this capitalist society, how do they now grow up higher in this capitalistic hierarchy, right? They don't tell you how they're going to do that. All they tell you is that poor people face health issues is because they live in certain conditions, hence they smoke more BD, hence more health issues, right? This becomes a circular argumentation. Why are they poor? Because they smoke BD, that's why they're poor, right? This cannot essentially stand as an argumentation on your sheets for adjudicators because simply this being a circular argumentation. We'll tell you why, even though someone smokes, as mentioned by the Prime Minister itself, there is a concept of body autonomy and how this essentially functions, right? Body autonomy basically means that if you're born with your own body, you have every right whatever you want to do with your body. Even though some things might be illegal by the government, for example, prostitution racket in India is illegal because that's exactly why it's called a racket and not prostitution only. Whereas in other countries where the society has developed and the morals have evolved to the point where choice is given importance and autonomy of body is given importance. For example, in Amsterdam, the red light district area there booms instead of ours where there are police raids and this and that, whatever. So essentially you also need to talk about evolvement of morality in the first place, right? Why can't there be regulated markets outside of these hospitals? What you're talking about, there is no medical document, there is no legal document. I'll tell you what legal documentation can be there. One of the legal documentation that can be there is an affidavit, right? Affidavit is stamped between two consenting individuals. Whenever you consent to either, it may be monetary values, it may be professional affidavit, whatever. You can find affidavit when there are two consenting adults, right? We need to understand why the idea of consenting adults here is so important, right? It is so important because up until now, the morality has been developed and judged by a lot of sense. Section 377 giving the example of India, again, body autonomy, right? What is the main goal of an egalitarian society is essentially body autonomy. So when we talk about this body autonomy, they totally reject that. What are the ideas we get from the side opposition? They talk about how these poor will get incentivized by these black markets. Again, on the same paradigm, you're complaining that these poor people don't get anything, they don't get food, they don't get shit. And on the same paradigm, you're saying that उनको बीड़ी भी पीते हैं, they smoke, they drink, they do whatever, and there is no way out for them to come out of this vicious cycle of poverty in which they are trapped under this capitalistic society. I'll tell you one way they can come out of this is by selling their organs, right? And organs sell for a lot of money. And if they come up here and tell you that this black market is only for the poor people, I'll tell you what, this black market also exists for the elite. Why? Because in any hospital that you go to, there is this priority list, right? In this priority list, if you're a smoker, you'll never get you'll never get lungs or whatever. So in this priority list, you're essentially way down. And if you want to go through the regular way or whatever, through the registered or the regulated manner, you might end up dying. So on a comparative, I'd see myself not dying and taking the risk of having a bad organ, because in any scenario, I'm dying. So talking about terminal diseases as such, so If you take it to the extreme of terminal diseases, there is no point of organ donation. But when there is a need of organ donation and when you can get an organ donation, the only issue that we still have from the side opposition is this checks and balances. Let me take another analogy of sugar daddies, right? Sugar daddies and sugar babies. Sugar daddies and sugar babies both are consenting adults, even though there might be weird fetishes of these sugar daddies. Both the sugar baby and the sugar daddy consent to this, and hence they get this sugar, right? So the concept of adults consenting here becomes all the more important when we draw this analogy to this sugar daddy sugar baby concept, because again this might seem immoral to the society and this might not be regulated. There might not be government websites, but there are online websites who do this essentially, right? So when we say that some kind of online website can exist, there can be doctors who are paid, because they say that in the same line they say that black markets are booming, right? When these black markets are booming, why do you essentially have bad doctors? If you have so much money in this black market and if you want to continue this black market, and if this black market is on the rise, what will happen? Better doctors will come into this black market. What will happen? More people will get served, right? What will happen? More problems will be solved. So in our paradigm, we're solving more problems, having given you the stakeholder analysis of both doctors, the agents, poor people, rich people, privileged, underprivileged, whatever. All the harms stand on our paradigm, and I don't see any. All the benefits stand on our paradigm, and all the harms stand on their paradigm. Lastly, coming on to the last point, this victim and vicious cycle, right, which was mentioned by the Prime Minister. What is this this vicious cycle of a victim, right? Taking up the example of these poor people itself, characterized by the yellow as those who smoke BD. These BD smokers are the victims, right? Why are they the victims? Because they're born in a capitalist society where they do not have this privilege of even going to any hospital or such, and even if you do go to that hospital, you won't get yourself high up there in the list to get an organ. That is why they choose these unregulated measures, right? So when you're making them the victim and still blaming them is what becomes problematic for the side government. And this becomes problematic because you've given no characterization or analysis. All the side opposition has came up and said that poor people have problems, they smoke BDs, their lungs might get cancer, and so, but we still need to help them. So yeah, that's that. So basically our argumentation being, no, the person smoking BD is not the criminal here, he is the victim. We need to fight this vicious cycle, and we've given you stakeholder analysis. We've given you an analogy with sugar daddy, sugar baby, and why the idea of consent is important, and hence very proud to propose.
I now invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to take the stage.
What has been their case, adjudicators? Their case has been that legality is evolved, and we believe that it is time for this legality to evolve, wherein, we believe that it is the right time right now, wherein we should go ahead and do away with regulations for trade of organs. Okay, except they don't tell us why it is the right time right now, wherein they buy into the IF characterization, wherein we tell them that the black market's on the rise. So first, essentially they buy into the idea that black markets are on the rise, as essentially they are bad, but they believe that although this is happening, we believe that now is the time we do away with the regulations. Except we tell you why this is very bad. They come up here and tell us that the system is flawed and is biased and prioritized. Mind you, they're doing this on a survey of 26 people in some obscure land in Canada. So essentially how, but even if we are to buy this argument, even if we are supposed to buy into the idea that a person is always willing to give their organs to a white man, supposedly as told by PM, we tell you why this the propensity of this happening is much more if the trade is unregulated, because we tell you that given that the person has subconsciously bought into the idea of giving their ideas to a white man, they will do it regardless of the they will do it much more if the regulation is absent. So when they come up here and try to sell us the idea that this will become much more fair and this will become much more distributed among the people, we tell you that because there is no regulation right now, 5th minute sir, because there is no regulation right now, the propensity of people becoming more biased is much higher, because firstly we also need to realize that due to the absence of regulation, we can never keep a keep a check on prices of where these, so wherein I am a person who's coming from a poor background and who has a fairly functional kidney, I will go ahead and sell it for 5 lakhs any day, wherein, so the kind of prioritization or equality which they are trying to bring about into the debate does not really stand. It is a harm on their side of the house. What they come up here and tell us after that, they come up here and tell us that, prioritization in itself is bad, because someone who smokes should not be given a organ, because he'll be end up wasting it, except they don't tell us the analysis as to why this prioritization is bad in itself, because in the status quo, the prioritization has already existed, and there is sufficient example from the side of the government to go ahead and prioritize certain people who have greater inherent value attached to themselves, to prioritize them if there is a shortage of organs. And mind you, there is a shortage of organs in the status quo. So when they come up here and tell us that there is no need of prioritization, I guess they have maxed out on their chances to speak, because only the whip is to come on now. So they have not given us any characterization as to why there is a need for absence of prioritization, and that is upon which their whole case runs. They also come up here and tell us, they talk about agency over body and we cannot dictate as to where they give their organs, except we need to realize that given that the black market's on a rise. So let me explain this to you. So what really happens is, so if I am a person who does not, no sir, 5th minute. So what really happens is that if I am a person who's coming from a disadvantaged people, I have a huge propensity of going ahead and buying into the idea of pimps or per se dealers between the organs, which are the propensity of whose existence is much low in the presence of a regulated mechanism. Because if there is nobody to look after as to which organ is going where, the probability or the propensity of pimps or black market or people who act as middlemen and eat up money in between rises significantly. So when they come up here and talk about dictating bodily autonomy, we tell you that these pimps have a high chance of dictating the bodily autonomy, or per se fooling this victim into buying the idea that selling your kidney is per se the best possible outcome or the best possible process you have to earn money in an easy and quick way. We also tell you why this becomes problematic due to the involvement of pimps, because now the pimp knows a doctor who has a fake degree, and the propensity of having doctors who have fake degree, and also the propensity of good doctors going ahead and opting into the system is much higher, as conceded by the Deputy Prime Minister. Because when he comes up here and tells us that because the black market is on a boom, and because it has not been established as to how this will not be in a boom in further years, we believe that it will still be in a boom. And when good doctors go ahead and buy into the black market, what essentially happens is that it becomes really easy to fake medical certificate. It becomes very easy. It becomes very easy for people to go ahead and donate organs, even though they're just doing it just for money. And also it becomes very easy for the doctor to pass organs which were essentially not up to the mark or up to the standard to be donated, but because there is nobody to look as to what is being donated and to where, it becomes really easy for this doctor to go ahead and give this organ to wherever he wants to. And also we also need to realize, when they talk about poor people being benefited, because this doctor is in it for money, this doctor will go ahead and essentially definitely sell it to people who have much more money or will be willing to pay much more, because in an unregulated trade nobody is there to tell them to do otherwise. They come up here and tell us that the person cannot complain in the absence, the person cannot complain in the absence of, they come up here and tell us because, they come up here and tell us that because there is a regulation in check, so this poor person cannot go ahead and complain, wherein we believe that this very idea is very counterintuitive, because there is someone who you can complain to, complaining becomes much more easier. So they come up here and tell us that there is no method to complain. So there are legalities involved. So person who has been wronged can go ahead and do nothing but except how can he do something when there are no regulations in place, ma'am, as was told by the side Prime Minister. So the only method to go ahead and make complaints more feasible is to do away with regulation somehow, and this is something counterintuitive or is a logical fallacy, because if there is no somebody or there is nobody to complain to, who do you complain to then? And we believe that this point thus lies in our favor. They come up here and tell us that we assume that consent in itself is not forced, wherein we tell you that forcing consent or manufacturing consent in itself is a very easy task to when people are poor, or when people do not have that kind of social or economic capital, as has been bought by their side as well. So when they come up here and tell us that, you know, a person from poor background can, you know, sell organs and given that black markets on a rise, so manufacturing consent then becomes much more easier because this pimp has sufficient knowledge and social capital, and wherein this pimp has sufficient expertise in his own area wherein he has been luring people in for years. So this person can now go ahead and lure people and thus manufacturing their consent. So although their case is wholly built upon, you know, wherein we cannot dictate the bodily autonomy, so even though we are not doing it directly, there is indirect manufacturing of consent in this case, and whose propensity is much more in the absence of a regulation body. They come up here and also tell us that legal empowerment is much more important, and also awareness comes through normalization, but the only way through which awareness they try to bring into the paradigm awareness is through, you know, doing away with regulations again, except wherein if there is nobody to check as to what level of awareness has come into the system, how do we ensure that awareness is actually coming into the system? That's very proud to host.
I now invite the proposition whip to come and give his speech.
Adjudicators, please note that the side opposition has very manipulatively tried to stick to some of the basic arguments and have not taken our arguments, our thoughts into their speeches. So we need to understand that when we are talking about an unregulated market, we need to understand that when we are talking about victimization, we need to empower the victims, which happens in our paradigm. Whereas in their paradigm, they are calling the victim, but doing nothing for their emancipation. So we understand that when we are talking of an unregulated market, when talking of organ trade, we need to understand that it is a win-win situation for everyone, because firstly they are talking that doctors might take in a lot of money, that the poor person who is selling his organ might not get enough money, but understand that the poor person about whom we are talking here is a person who is a hand-to-mouth person. He does not know anything about what's happening, and so we need to understand that even when he's getting even 5 lakh for a fairly functional kidney, he is to some extent getting out of that absolute poverty into which he is being pushed down by this society. On the other hand, this doctor about whom we are talking about, this doctor, it's in the 5th minute, after 5th minute basically. And so this doctor is also getting money, and that rich person is also getting the organ. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. So we need to understand that the outside opposition, he comes up here, but never in any of their speeches inculcates the idea of choice, inculcates the idea of basically the choice of that person to do. So we need to understand that they are talking here about pimps, but we need to understand that pimps exist in both the paradigms. So we need to understand that even if they regulate the market, we need to understand that pimps will be there, and pimps essentially, as told by them, are essentially bad, and they will exist on both sides, and they will exist on both sides of the house, whether regulated or whether unregulated. And so we need to understand that when we are talking about such things, when we are talking about these poor people, we need to understand that in their paradigm, when they are talking about a system of prioritization, the poor person will never be able to rise up in the status quo. So we also need to understand that when they come here and they talk about consent, they do not counter a point of evolving moralities. We need to understand that when we talk of when we talk of evolving morality, we need to understand that this morality is a very it's like things like prostitution, things like marijuana trade, things like weed trade. These exist in the status quo, and the police are it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. So we need to understand that. We need to understand. Let us talk about Bitcoin. Like when Bitcoin came, and Bitcoin was an unregulated market in the first place. But how did it become so popular?
because it was unregulated, there was no one to check it, and like everyone who was investing in it, who was buying it, who was selling it, like everyone was benefiting from it. And so here in our market also, if it is unregulated, the major factor that comes into our picture and which goes unreported from their side time and again is that everyone is benefiting from it, which is the major structure of our case, which has gone unregulated in after. And which has gone unregulated. So we need to understand that when they are talking about unregulated markets, and when we are talking about like it might be dysfunctional, that there can be a lot of things associated with it. Sir, these things they need to understand that, sir, these things are secondary, and the primary things that we are talking about is basically the consent of the individual involved between the two individuals, and the monetary or the profit or any kind of benefit that we are gaining from this trade. So we need to understand that they are two consenting adults. No one is being pushed into it. And now, if your debate upon the premise of consent also, then this debate stands nowhere. We are debating here only because we agree to the fact that there is some consent, there's consent involved. So we also need to understand that in our paradigm there is an emancipation of the victim which we are talking about, whereas there is a vicious cycle कि वो victim है, so he will be victimized, and because he will be victimized, he is the victim. Whereas we provided your POI, sir. Your POI.
So when you go ahead and talk about bitcoins, do you realize that the bitcoins are now used by drug lords, and just because they were unregulated in the first place, they are the largest tool of currency which is now being used by black market, and thus essentially proving our point as to how unregulation leads to black markets.
Cool. When unregulation, you need to understand that when unregulation leads to black market, it stands on both sides of the house, because black markets, whether regulated or unregulated, will stand on both sides of the house. Take the example of what happens in Nevada in USA. Prostitution there is regulated but not legalized, wherein the biggest black market out there exists in a regulated state also. So we need to understand that we are not here debating about whether it is regulation or unregulation. What we are debating upon is whether how this unregulated trade versus how this regulated trade goes upon to help the emancipation of the person involved in that trade system. When there is an unregulated trade system, when there is an unregulated trade system, we need to understand that the major fact that consent comes into picture largely in unregulated trade, because then there is no overlying body, there is no regulating body which looks into this. Whereas when the regulated trade comes into picture, there is some sort of a regulating body which looks into this, and then their consent comes into the picture, which is very harmful which is where our basic benefit lies, and which is where their basic harm lies, which they have been trying to very slyly conceal with their secondary arguments. Sirs and madam, we need to understand that when we talk about this incentive, when they are talking about this incentivization of this incentivization or all this stuff, this lies on both sides of the house. Incentivization occurs on incentivization, which they are talking about, has a very little role to play. When we are talking about victimization, this emancipation of this victimization, this removal from this vicious cycle occurs on our side of the house, and this is because, and this point has gone utterly unrebutted, which is why I am very proud to propose, and having said that, please investigate.
I would like to now call upon the opposition whip to present their case.
Adjudicators, it is important to notice what the case was about. The case talks about unregulated trade. The motion talks about consent. Now, when you talk about this entire motion as a whole, there are three things which come into ambit. The three things which come into ambit are the medical aspect, the monetary benefits, and the consensual aspect. When you talk about the medical benefits, the PM comes up in her speech and talks about how when a family member dies in a car crash, the first instinct of another healthy family member is to donate an organ for the family member so that they don't die. However, what they need to understand, that what we come and characterize in our speech is the fact that when such a trade-off happens, when a person gives their organ to another person without certain formalities, without certain legalities, without certain health checks in place, the very fact that that organ might not be accepted by the victim in the car crash is something we should talk about in the ambit of this debate. We talk about how that in the end, no matter what happens, without a medical check, without a health check, without a regulation in the entire medical aspect, the person who's the victim has the chance to die, which in fact the side proposition does not want to happen, thus leading to concession of their own case. Number two, we talk about the monetary benefits which people have in unregulated trade. However, it's important to notice that monetary benefits are the reasons why people can be coerced into consent. And thus we talk about two types of consent. One is forced consent and one is the consent which the proposition side talks about regarding the consent here to win-win situation here. However, the win-win situation is it does not exist in the case where the person dies because of the unfair, unregulated trade between the organs, which might again not be accepted by the victim body or by the by the buyer of the organs, because of the fact that it has an inherent flaw which does not exist on paper, because of the fact that there's no health check gone into place. Also, we talk about how the side proposition comes and talks to us about how there will be an affidavit as a formal document which will come up and tell us that okay, we signed an affidavit, so we're having a trade-off. However, adjudicators, and it is important to notice that once an affidavit comes into place, which is a signed document by a gazetted officer of the court, it becomes a formal document, it becomes regulated trade, and thus the very fact of unregulated trade goes down the drain. And thus we hold to win this debate because of the fact that an affidavit is into place and the entire question of unregulated trade goes away. Also talking about a priority list. When side proposition comes and talks to us about a priority list existing and there's no the absence of a need for a priority list, we come and tell them about what I would like to talk about is the point that when a priority list exists, people in a car crash which the PM so kindly talked about are automatically put on top of the priority list and thus get an organ and thus are saved. So in the first part of this argument stands that the people who are in a car crash automatically get on the priority list and get saved. Secondly, the argument which stands on our side of the house is that if there's a person who's on the end of the priority list because of a certain disease, because of a certain habit of that person, it is justified on the fact that we talk about how again without any medical certification, the very fact that the organ goes to a person who in the presence of unregulated trade, the organ goes to a person who's not who does not care about.
Note, sir.
I'm sorry.
POI.
No. We talk about how the very fact that without any medical certification, there is again less acceptance by the other body, leading to death, which is the entire case which the proposition talks about, that we don't want a person to die, we want a person to live because he wants to live, and the very fact that the priority list exists does not let the person live in his paradigm. Also, we're talking about
Sir, POI.
No, in the 5th minute. Side proposition comes and talks to you about how a sugar daddy, sugar baby case exists, that a person, people taking consent, people taking monetary benefit from each other in a society like ours is a matter of verbal consent and is okay. However, we try to what I'm trying to talk about here is the fact that something which is as important as an organ in a human being's body, because of which the entire body functions, is not something that is so easy to talk about in a verbal manner. However, at the same time, the PM and the DPM have a contrasting idea, because while the DPM talks about a verbal contract existing, the DPM he also talks about an affidavit existing, which is the very basis of their argument falling down. Also, the very fact that we believe that that burden on our side of the house is to prove to you why regulated trade is wrong and is problematic, and I feel that we've done that on the house through the course of our 3 speeches, and the very fact that the side proposition also conceded to this very idea of unfair unregulated trade being problematic is something that I believe which stand on your sheets, and thus we need to win the debate. At the same time, the very fact they talked about right, so your POI?
Sir, given that there is an unregulated body, why can that unregulated body not maintain itself in a way that it is sustaining and the business keeps going?
Sir, when you talk about sustaining an unregulated body, it brings up a hierarchy of people being selected in the unregulated body, which again talks about the priority list that you were talking about, which you wanted to remove. As a result, bringing into regulation of the entire body. As a result, coming back to the regulated trade practice, which is what we've been trying to propagate this entire while. Thus, I think in order to answer your POI, I would like to talk about the fact that while you're trying to abolish a priority list in your first 3 speeches, all your 3 speeches, you come up and ask me right now that why shouldn't there be a regulation of the entire thing in an unregulated manner also, which is contradicting, and thus, again, adjudicators, that point stands on our sheets. That's practically what I'm trying to talk about. That's practically what we're trying to talk about. Educators now is now to summarize our case. I would like to talk about the fact that when when an unregulated trade happens between two people, the seller does not disclose what issue he's facing in his organ or what issues he faces medically. The buyer does not know how his body would react to it. I as a person, in order to gain money in an unregulated trade practice in the black market, would go ahead and sell my kidney, which has already failed, in order to gain 5 lakh rupees to buy something for my own benefit. However, what unregulated trade practice would imply is that I would not have to sign an affidavit. I would not have to tell somebody that okay, I have a failed kidney. As a result of which, the very fact that the buyer would have a failed kidney leading to his own death is something which is very problematic on the side propositions paradigm, and thus I believe that the very fact that this very fact that we're talking about leads to us winning the debate, given the fact that consent, medical benefits, and monetary benefits are 3 different parts of this debate, in which all 3 points stand on our side of the house. Again, talking about how consent is something which is of 2 types of parts, being forced and being consensual as it is. In forced consent, an individual might be forced to buy or sell a product given the fact that he has a lack of money, he has a disease which he might not have to disclose, and thus these points against are not relevant.
I now call upon the side opposition to give the reply speech. Here.
So what has been this debate, what has this debate panned out into? So from the side proposition, we get 3 ideas as to there is a need for emancipation for these poor people, there is a need for bodily autonomy, and they believe that unregulation will bring about a win-win situation. This has been their basic case line. They also come up here and tell us that such a move is really feasible because the morality in itself has evolved. Except when we ask as to why this point in time is the time wherein the morality suddenly evolved and wherein now it is feasible for us to go ahead and do away with all the regulations, they fail to answer that, right? They fail to clash upon the fact that why is now that the morality has evolved, because we tell you that black markets on the rise. Black markets have several harms attached to themselves. They fail to clash with all the harms associated with the black market, but yet in the same breath they come up here and tell us that the morality has evolved and now is the time to go away with evolutions. Even though that is true, ladies and gentlemen, they come up here and talk about, even if it is true, let's just take their best case scenario. They come up here and tell us that doing away with emancipation will now go ahead, doing away with regulations now bring about emancipation, except how? We successfully characterize this to you that because there are no regulatory bodies, people going ahead and buying into the shackles of the black market, or being coerced into selling their organs due to some sort of manufactured consent. Mind you that consent is very important on their part, so they fail to clash with that idea as well. They fail to prove it to us that the whole manufacturing of consent which you've been talking about does not really arise, because they believe that because दोनों को पैसा मिल रहा है, मतलब मेरे गरीब को पैसा मिल रहा है, उनको organ मिल रहा है, so it is a win-win situation, except we tell you that now केवल अमीर को ही organ मिल रहा है. So the very fact when they come up here and talk about prioritization and equality and upliftment and that we are doing nothing, we tell you that the status quo in itself is doing a lot and it's functioning to the best. So when they come up here and tell us that we need to do away with regulations, they need to give us several benefits, and they do not give us any because none of them really stand. Because they come up here and tell us कि एक ही बारी से सब कुछ fair हो जाएगा because we do away with regulations, except we tell you it's the other way around, and they fail to clash with itself. So we believe that should stand sufficiently on your seats. They come up here and tell us that it is suddenly and when we raise harms in their model, right, we come up here and tell you that black markets are essentially bad. They say nahi sabko paisa to mil raha hai, why is the black market bad? Except we tell you why is it bad. We tell you that the propensity of people selling organs which have gone bad, and selling organs which are no longer functional or not really compatible, or organs selling organs only to rich people is much more in their paradigm, and that is very counterintuitive to their whole case, because their case has been about fairness and equality and everybody getting organs, except that does not happen. And people who do get organs get, organs who are not really compatible, because it is really easy to fake medical certificates in the absence of a regulatory body, which is a point again which they fail to clash with. They come up here and tell us just because competition hai to fir ekdam gold standard maintain ho jayega organs ka, except which is not a very good characterization, because we have given you that because everybody in it for money, why would they go ahead? And because there is nobody to look into where this trade is going, why, what now compels them? Because there is no regulation. So just because somebody feels that they come up here and tell us that out of compassion or out of morality people will do it, but wherein we tell you that this is an unregulated trade. What is trade? Trade is done out of monetary benefits. People want to reap monetary benefits out of it. And so the very idea of evolving morality or, somehow it is very compassionate people who are doing it for free for people does not really stand, because this is a trade, and mind you, which is unregulated. Also, they come up here and talk at length about legal empowerment and stuff like that, except how do you legally empower people wherein there is nobody to complain to? They come up here and tell us that people can't complain because they are poor and stuff, except that becomes much more problematic in your paradigm, because there is nobody to complain to now. Thank you.
I now invite side government to come and give the reply.
Let me talk about the point that the reply of the side opposition have been. First of all, they've talked about manufactured consent, right? We, in the very first place, told you that we cannot argue on the very premise of manufactured consent. Why? Because we gave you the analogy of sugar daddies and sugar babies, wherein there is consent. So our whole case is based on the very assumption that there is consent. So if you keep contesting us on the fact again and again that there is no consent, there is essentially no debate there left in for us. This is a squirreling away of the debate from their side, and this essentially would, at best, would lead at a deadlock or a definition challenge. So I won't talk about the point of their the consent being manufactured and whatever rackets these people in the black market are being pushed into. Right. Next, they characterize to you how important organs are. Right. They tell you that the whip tells you that how you can't put it in verbatim how important organs are. Understand that from that very logical conclusion, if we extend that, let's take up this very premise and let's take up two people, right? Because we did the stakeholder analysis for you and we proved to you why there is emancipation of these poor people and why they break out of this vicious cycle. Let's take up the premise that organs are very, very important, and the characterization done by the opposition whip itself. If the organs are very important, the rich guy who's buying these organs necessarily needs top class organs, because because he's so afraid to die and because he has so much power that he'll always choose for the best option. If the hospitals cannot provide that for him, where does he then go to? Does he either die or does he go to the black market? In either scenario, if he dies, he dies. If he gets into the black market, there will be so-called pimps, as talked by the side opposition, that they have a lot of problem with these pimps, right? So they're saying that when people know that there is a desperate need for this or these organs, and there exists a black market, and this black market is booming, there necessarily is a need. There is a need on money in the poor classes or the underprivileged classes. There is need of organs characterized by the opposition whip itself for these rich people. So I don't understand in this model what is the problem. Suppose this model was of something, let's say suppose this model was of a cigarette brand, right? The side opposition would not have a problem with that. Poor people are making BDs, they are manufacturing BDs in the factories, then they won't talk about that. And then even they buy BDs, or whoever buys these cigarettes, children produce crackers in factories. They don't want to talk about this. Why is all of this, why are all these cases okay, but why is this considered a black market, and why is this regulated or irregulated? I'll tell you why unregulated proves better emancipation. We've talked about how this emancipation comes about because in this regulated system, there are hierarchies. There are hierarchies as given a concession in the POI, and whenever there are hierarchies, there are people who are bound to suffer. From that very basic logic, if there are hierarchies in the regulated system, which was mentioned by the whip himself, then these hierarchies necessarily hinder those who are, be it any capitalistic system or any system which has certain sense of certain sense of importance attached to it. When there is any such hierarchy, people at the bottom of hierarchies are always crushed by those at the top. This system exists in the regulated system as told by a concession made by the reply whip. And extending this logic itself, I'll tell you that in an unregulated manner, and if the need is there from both the privileged and the underprivileged, if there needs to be a move, register regulated or unregulated, and if there is an outcome, we would always prefer this unregulated method, which was not even our burden. Our burden was that we support this unregulated, which we think we properly justified to you. Their model was to not support all these pimps and these black markets they talk about. They are inexclusive to both the sides, right? So this is there in both the sides. Hence, very proud to propose.